All right, I wanted to welcome everybody to this webinar on simplifying your social media. My name is Jeff Baker, and I wanted to go ahead and get this thing started. We are recording this today, so once this is over, we will actually have a link available for you to review and share with others about how to simplify your social media. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and share our presentation, and from there we'll be able to walk through a number of points and principles. We'll also have some discussion time at the end as well. So here we go. All right, well, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to kind of sharing some information about how to simplify your social media for both personal and professional purposes. And again, this is a presentation by ShoesOptional. We're going to be doing these on an ongoing basis. We'll have various webinars that are designed to just kind of shed some highlights of things that could be useful, things that can hopefully make a difference in your day-to-day operations when it comes to anything within the digital space. So social media is a big part of what happens in the digital world, especially if you have a brand, if you have a company, if you're any type of professional, if you're in the real estate business, if you're in just a small website or a product or service. Digital media and social media specifically is going to be an important part of that entire strategy that you would want to use. So let's take a look at how do we simplify our social media, and in doing that, how do we actually use it to get our business going in the right direction, and without spending a lot of time and money, how can we simplify things and make things a lot easier? So here we go. First thing I want to take a look at is we're going to go through the following information. Typically, we kind of outline where we're headed. And so what we're looking at is there's actually 5 strategies that we have found that are useful to increase sales and influence within your digital presence, right? So we're going to look at all 5 strategies. We'll use those. We use those here at ShoesOptional, and there's others that are even beyond that, but these 5 strategies have helped us really focus our sales process, and we've increased sales and our influence in a lot of ways through that. We also have 6 surefire ways to grow your audience, and then how to convert your customers to customer loyalty. So we'll take a look at that. And then the third thing here is we actually have some time-saving tools and tips that will help you automate your social media and allow you to use tools effectively so that you're not having to literally spend an immense amount of time on your mobile device, on Facebook, on Instagram, and other channels. You can actually do some of this in a single tool that will actually automatically blast it out to multiple channels. So we'll look at all those as well. And then finally, at the end, we'll open it up a little bit and give everyone an opportunity to share questions, and then we'll answer as much of those as we can. We have about roughly 10 to 15 minutes in this presentation, so want to kind of keep going, but save your questions till the end, and we'll go ahead and answer those at that time. So let's talk about the 5 strategies to increase sales and influence within the digital market space. One of these is this concept called Start With Why, and I have a video that typically it's available on my website, but it's actually a 15-minute TED Talk by this guy you see on the screen. His name is Simon Sinek, and he actually wrote a book of the same name, Start With Why. And the basic concept is this, that most companies know what they do, they know how they do it, but very few can define, articulate, and present why they do what they do. The companies that do that, the companies that are able to communicate clearly why they do what they do, they're the ones that have the industry and leading edge over most of their competitors. Think, for example, of Apple and the iPhone, right? When was the last time you heard of anybody standing in line to get the latest Android phone? Probably never, but it happens time and time again. Whenever there's a new release of an iPhone, you have people camped out for days. There's a difference in how they influence a market space, and in doing that, they've set themselves apart from most competitors. They've revolutionized complete industries because of how they approach things. So that's kind of a very strong strategy. Start with why. Understand why you do what you do in your business, and in doing that, you're going to get a competitive advantage over the nearest competitor or others in your market space, because you have a clear version and clear vision of why you do what you do. The other strategies we talk about is looking at offering complementary content that benefits the customer. So what this can look like, it could be as simple as a little ebook that could be a 1 or 2 or 3 page PDF that gives them information about how you do something or why you do something, going back to the start with why. And then it becomes a way to get customer traction. It allows you to get things even like email address and contact information, permission to contact them in the future. And so offer something complimentary. In other words, offer value up front that's not going to cost the customer anything, but they get an opportunity to experience what it is that you do, and they get a sort of a sample of what your company does. The third strategy is offer amazing incentives in the form of coupons and discounts. So for example, if you have an upcoming promotion, you have an upcoming event, you can actually discount it and say, hey, for the first 10 people, we're going to take 10% off, or we're going to offer a variety of ways for people to save money over the standard rate. So coupons, discounts, incentives that will allow them to engage and participate. We highly recommend that. We've seen that effectively time and time again, not only in our own business, but also in the businesses that we actually help build here as well at ShoesOptional. The fourth thing that we talk about is consistent messages across all social media platforms you participate in. This is a critical part of simplification. If you have certain types of graphics, fonts, even taglines and messages or certain graphics you use, keep it consistent across all platforms. In doing so, you're going to find that people begin to recognize your brand. If you see certain logos in the world, you don't even have to see the name with a lot of logos. You see it and you know immediately what that logo represents. Again, Apple's a great example. You see that Apple icon, you know what that means. You see Nike's logo, you know that it's a Nike logo even without the word Nike on it. So over time, people will begin to identify who you are and what your company has to offer just based on that consistency across all platforms that you participate in. My favorite kind of strategy here is this upsell and cross-sell your products and your services. And what that means is when somebody's getting ready to make a point of purchase or sale, so say for example you're offering a certain product, maybe you're offering either a watch or maybe you have an e-commerce store and you're offering coffee cups, for example. Maybe as they're checking out, you offer them a bag of coffee that goes with it, or vice versa. So cross-sells and upsells are really important. Typically an upsell means if I'm looking at a specific product and I want to upsell that, I want to have the customer buy something that's even the next level up on that same product or service, then that's what an upsell typically will allow you to do. A cross-sell is more defined by things that complement an existing product. So if you have, again, if we'll use the coffee, for example, if you have a bag of coffee that you're selling and you have a cross-sell, you might cross-sell a second bag of coffee at a discount, or you might cross-sell a coffee cup or a grinder that allows them to get the best value out of that particular product or service, right? So upsells and cross-sells are extremely important. One of the 5 strategies that we see used effectively to increase sales and also increase your influence. So those are the 5 strategies. We're going to move on to the next one, which is basically looking at 6 what we call surefire ways to grow your audience and convert your customers to loyal customers. Again, I can't stress enough, which is why it's even one of the 6 options here, is that start with why. If you have a very clear picture of why you do what you do in your business, in your personal and professional life, it is so much easier to push that out across all platforms, all social media elements, through blogs, through other things that your business may or may not participate in. Whatever touch point your customers have with your business, they will begin to understand and see that why you do what you do is unique, different, and it will actually register with your customers on what we call a non-cognitive basis. And what I mean by that is sometimes people just, they get this sixth sense that says, I want to work with that person because I connect with them. And you even may be more expensive than your competitor. You may even have even less experience than some of your competitors. The good news is they're gonna work with you because there's a connection there that's all based around the concept of why you do what you do. So my recommendation is find that video. It's out there. You can type in Simon Sinek, Start With Why, and you'll see TED Talks and YouTube videos from him. Highly recommended, and it helps really define a lot of things. The other influencing surefire ways to grow your customer loyalty is know your audience and what social media platforms they use. So one of the things that we've discovered is that, contrary to popular belief, not every social media platform is a good use of your time or your efforts, right? So for example, some people, Facebook is an amazing platform because that's where most people are. So for a lot of businesses, Facebook makes sense. Not every business can benefit from Instagram, for example. Maybe your business is not very picture-based, which is what Instagram mostly focuses on. So maybe you're going to look at something that's more text-based. Maybe Twitter becomes a better platform to get your message out in a very quick way. So know who your audience is and what social media platforms they use, and then participate in that. Don't be overly salesy. Don't always be saying, hey, buy this, or all of these things. That's where using social media wisely can be important. So there's some strategies in that we'll talk about a little bit later. Number 3, passion after purchase. So your follow through, right? What happens after that customer engages with you? It could be, when we talk about purchase, it can actually be simply them filling out a contact form and connecting with you. How quickly do you get back to them? What type of response do they get from you? Are they feeling welcome? Are they feeling treated as a number? You want to be careful how you respond to your customers. And also after purchase, if there's an issue, do you follow up with them? Do you say, hey, we wanted to just double check with you, make sure everything is going as you expected it to? When you do that, you also have an opportunity for a second dialogue. So maybe after a certain purchase, you might be able to come back to that same customer and go, now we're offering something new. We're offering another valuable service or product, and they may want to purchase again because they've had a good experience up to this point. So that's number 3. Number 4, create a referral network by offering incentives and referral fees. Now, I understand in certain industries that's not always allowed. So for example, real estate specifically, it's hard to say, hey, if you refer somebody to me and they buy a house, I can't give you a referral fee, right? I can maybe inadvertently give you a gift card, or I can do something like that, but I can't put in writing anywhere that I'm going to give you a referral fee every time you refer somebody to me. However, there are some things you can do to create a referral network and incentivize people to keep you top of mind if it comes to referring people to your product or service. So create that referral network. Spend time in that. Reach out to people that are in that network from time to time. Take somebody to lunch. Buy somebody a cup of coffee. Send them a thank you note. One of the things I've noticed in our society with everything that goes on out there, we've lost that intimate touch of just simply writing a note. Matter of fact, a book I read about 2 years ago was exactly that. There was a gentleman whose business was kind of struggling, and he just decided every day he was going to write a handwritten thank you note to some customer, somebody that he had contact with, not trying to do anything in his business, but just to express gratitude for them doing that, and it revolutionized his business. So think about how you can incentivize and connect and grow that referral network. That's huge as far as a way to get that customer loyalty and get those customers coming back. Number 5, understand each social media platform's unique and often unused features. What I mean by that is when I watch most people use social media, there's sort of the tip of the iceberg that everybody plays on. So it's, quickly post a picture on Instagram, and then maybe on Facebook, you post a little story. And that's what most people do, and that's good. That shows activity and presence. But underlying all of that, there's a lot of different ways that you can push that engagement out further. Obviously, Facebook has a paid platform where you can post or sponsor posts and pay to have them reach more people. So that's an often unused feature, and it's relatively inexpensive. For $10, you can reach another 10 or 15,000 people, and that's not too bad, right? But there's other features in each one of the social media platforms. We're not talking about it here in this webinar, but we do have some where we will start doing some webinars in 2019 that we're going to dive deeply into each of the platforms, and we're going to look at some of the nuances. We're going to look at some of the unique features that are not used by most people, but they can be very powerful if you use them consistently and regularly, right? And number 6 is consistency. One of the things that is probably the hardest for most people when it comes to social media is you get off to a good start and then life happens, right? Things get busy, you get overwhelmed, you have a lot of things going on, and it's sometimes hard to go, gosh, I forgot to post something on Facebook today or Instagram, or I forgot to tweet today. So there's ways to be consistent without it having to be literally an everyday event. So this is a good segue into the final part of this presentation, which is what are some tools, and there's 3 things that we look at. They're fairly simple, but we'll walk through each one briefly. They're ways to get your social media simplified and somewhat automated. So let's take a look at a couple things. So these are what we call 3 time-saving tools and tips to automate your social media. One is find a really good CRM. Different industries have their own version of a CRM. In other words, a CRM is a customer relationship management tool. Just think of it as a way to be able to put things in and keep things top of mind for yourself. So a typical CRM allows you to have all your contact information for all of your customers, and also other things that are important for you to remember. Sometimes it could be kids' birthdays, anniversaries, that kind of stuff, or it could be a reminder every 20 days to reach out and call that person and have that CRM automatically tell you when to do that, right? Also, some CRMs, and this is one that I use pretty extensively, is called HubSpot. The free version of it, it's a lifetime free CRM, doesn't cost you anything. You can literally import all of your contacts right from Google or from any other system, and immediately it starts to put together a little bit of their social profile, so you can find some of their social media links that you may have not known before. There's other ones that are out there. Nimble is another one it's not listed here, but Nimble CRM used to be, and it still has a pretty strong presence, but it used to connect very well to people's social media. You maybe put in a Facebook or a LinkedIn profile, and it would find all their other social media. And what's nice about that is it just gives you an easy way to find out where these people are at and what they're most active in. So somebody that might be a customer of yours might be really big on Instagram. They may just be always posting pictures and quotes and thoughts. Well, if your stuff shows up in their feed or in their stream, then all of a sudden now you have an engaging opportunity, or at least your brand or your product or service is top of mind to them if they need what you have to offer. There are a couple other tools that are out there. Number 2 is Buffer and Hootsuite are some of the more common ones. Buffer has become really kind of the premier one. Hootsuite started it a number of years ago, and then Buffer kind of improved upon it. It allows you to literally go in and in a short period of time, with a sort of a calendar in front of you, automate what you're going to do and how you're going to post certain things. So one of my recommendations for a lot of clients is, if you are in a industry that's fairly competitive, one of the ways that you can stand out is through blogging and also a social media presence. So to me, part of social media actually is the blog environment. What I mean by that is you have the ability to communicate what's going on in your industry trends, features, things that you want to communicate to your customers, but it also gives you some search engine value and all that. Buffer is a great tool because it will post it out on your website automatically. Usually, if you're using things like WordPress or other types of sites, it will post it automatically. But it will also, if you choose to, it will also post it out on your social media channels automatically. So you could literally take a weekend and map out blogs and social media tweets and social media engagement for a whole month and do it all in one block of time so that things begin to be automated. Now you can obviously still chime in and do things throughout the month, but you can also schedule it, hit a button, and know that it's going to go out to everybody it needs to go out to, right? So that's what Buffer does. Hootsuite has some similar tools. The other thing that we use a lot, right? There's a lot of tools out there that you got to be careful with. A lot of times people, and I've seen this happen through at least a half a dozen people that I've worked with over the years, people love to go out to Google, type in a certain name for an image. They find an image, they throw it in a tweet, they throw it in a blog post, and all of a sudden they get an email from an attorney that says, hey, you need to cease and desist using this image on your website. Part of it's because it's copyrighted. So my recommendation is stop using Google to find images, because 9 times out of 10, if you don't use the right filter, there are some filters that are pretty powerful. If you don't use the right filter, you might end up with somebody saying you owe them lots of money because you have violated copyright laws. So what we like to do is, you see the website name there, it's called allthefreestock.com. It actually has links to all kinds of free resources. One of them is called Pixabay. There's another one called Pexels. You can do also at all the free stocks, you can find little video samples that are free. If you're getting ready to do presentations and you need certain types of images, that's a great place to start. The other part of number 3 is this thing called Canva. We've been using this probably for at least 3 years now. And Canva is literally a web-based design tool that will allow you to design every possible social media type of post. So if you're doing an Instagram, it's going to be a nice little square for Instagram. If you're doing Facebook, it gives you several options. If you're doing an email blast, it's going to show you how to do that. And the good news is Canva is basically free. What happens is, as you're using it, they'll recommend certain little things. Like if you find a video in there, or even just a really nice picture, because they actually have a whole library of images. A lot of them are free, but there's some of them that they'll charge you $1 to use, right? That's not a big deal. And when you create the thing, you hit save and you post it out there, you pay $1, and now you can use that however you want to. So Canva is a great resource, and we highly recommend it. We actually have the licensed version of it, which gives us a few more controls around brand identity and those types of things. But I highly recommend it. It's a great tool. We've been using it for a while. And literally you can create very, very powerful digital as well as even print type of documents that you can send off to Vistaprint and get them printed. For example, you can do flyers, you can do everything you could possibly imagine. We've even done large 10 by 20 banners using Canva. So great tool to use. I highly recommend it. And again, that's kind of one of our time-saving techniques that we use here at ShoesOptional. Finally, I just want to open it up and just say, appreciate your time this afternoon. I want to let you know, stay tuned, because we will be sending out some additional emails with some upcoming webinars. The first quarter of 2019, we will be actually doing a full 6-part series on WordPress. And there's a lot of stuff that we already have worked with in WordPress over the years. So we'll take a look at it from all different aspects. And like I said, it's a 6-part series. It runs about an hour a week. And we typically will kick off about the same time this webinar did. It'd be 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll go through a lot of different elements that will hopefully give you the tools to manage and be successful on your own WordPress site. The good news is WordPress 5.0 just came out. So we're actually going to add that as an added feature of how to get the most out of WordPress 5.0. And then also, how do you get back some of the things that WordPress 5.0 disappears. There's like things that you're so used to and it disappeared, but you can actually get them back relatively easy. And we'll show you how to do some of those things. So stay tuned on that. What we recommend is that just reach out to us. There's my email address. That's my direct email. jeff@ShoesOptional.com. Feel free to email me any questions, any thoughts, any concerns. If you have any ideas for webinars that would be useful to you or even your own company, if there's some things where we could come in and share with your staff, things that would help you and your organization grow, let me know. Reach out to Jeff at ShoesOptional and be happy to do that as well. So I appreciate your time today. If there's any questions, we actually have the ability to, you can either, I'm going to unmute everybody right now, but you can either share that, or there's even typically a chat area where we can share some information there. But I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody at this point. And if there's any questions, let me know. If not, we'll go ahead and close up this webinar. And again, this has been recorded, so we'll put this out and send a link out to everybody that participated today. Any questions? All right, appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, again, you can shoot me an email directly to Jeff@ShoesOptional. Thank you.